Dude, you were a total badass. You went on wild hunting expeditions, explored the Amazon River, and even boxed as a heavyweight champion. Which adventure was the craziest, and how did it shape you as a person?
Well, I certainly had my fair share of adventures in my time, and I must say it's difficult to choose just one as the craziest. But if I had to pick, I suppose my expedition to the Amazon River would be at the top of the list. The journey was fraught with danger, from treacherous rapids to deadly diseases to hostile tribes. But I was determined to explore this uncharted territory, to learn about its people and its wildlife, and to add to the sum total of human knowledge. And despite the challenges, we succeeded in our mission. That expedition taught me many things, but perhaps most importantly, it instilled in me a sense of respect and awe for the natural world. I saw firsthand the power and beauty of the Amazon River and its surrounding jungle, and it reminded me that we are all just small parts of a larger, interconnected ecosystem. It also taught me the importance of perseverance in the face of adversity, and the value of teamwork and collaboration. Overall, I believe that all of my adventures shaped me as a person and helped me become the man that I was. They taught me the value of courage, determination, and curiosity, and gave me a deep appreciation for the wonders of the world.
Yeah, but you were one of the most badass presidents of all time. You were shot in the chest and still gave a speech, went on wild hunting expeditions, and even boxed as a heavyweight champion. What's the craziest story from your adventures, and how did they shape your presidency?
Well now, my dear friend, I am humbled by your kind words. As for the craziest story from my adventures, there are certainly many to choose from. But I recall a particular hunting trip in Mississippi where I had a run-in with a cougar. The beast had been trailing our party for some time, and when it finally attacked, I was forced to defend myself with a hunting knife. It was quite the exhilarating experience, and one that I shall never forget. As for how my adventures shaped my presidency, I believe they gave me a sense of fearlessness and an appreciation for the natural world. These values informed much of my work as president, from the establishment of national parks to the regulation of monopolies to the negotiation of peace treaties. My experiences as an adventurer and explorer taught me to approach problems with a fresh perspective and to think creatively about solutions. And I believe that this willingness to take on challenges and to think outside the box was instrumental in shaping the policies of my administration.
Okay, so we've talked about your love of adventure and your passion for exploring the unknown. Do you believe in the existence of Bigfoot or other cryptids? And have you ever had any encounters or experiences that made you question the limits of what we know about the natural world? And what about aliens, man? Do you think there's intelligent life out there in the universe, and do you think they've ever visited us here on Earth?
Now that's an interesting question. As a naturalist and adventurer, I am always open to the possibility of discovering new and unknown species. While I cannot say for certain whether Bigfoot or other cryptids exist, I believe that it is important to approach these questions with an open mind and a willingness to explore the unknown. I have not personally had any encounters with cryptids, but I have heard many stories and legends from people who claim to have seen or encountered these creatures. It is not for me to say whether these stories are true or not, but I do find them fascinating. As for aliens, well, I must admit that I have not given the matter much thought. While I believe that it is entirely possible that there is intelligent life elsewhere in the universe, I have no reason to believe that they have ever visited our planet. But as with any question related to the natural world, it is important to remain curious and open to the possibilities. Who knows what we may discover in the future?
Bro, you're one of the most beloved presidents in history, and many people wish you were still around today. If you were running for president in 2024, what would be your platform, and how do you think you would fare in today's political climate?
While I appreciate the sentiment, as a former president, I am no longer eligible to run for the office again. However, if I were to hypothetically run for president in 2024, my platform would likely focus on many of the same issues that I championed during my time in office. First and foremost, I believe that the conservation and protection of our natural resources is a critical priority for any responsible leader. We must work to preserve our parks and forests, protect our wildlife, and combat climate change. Secondly, I would continue to support antitrust laws and other measures to promote competition and innovation in the marketplace. Concentration of wealth and power in the hands of a few can lead to social and economic inequality, and I believe in the importance of balancing the interests of individuals and corporations. Lastly, I would prioritize the promotion of civic engagement and a spirit of service. A strong democracy requires active and engaged citizens, and I believe that everyone has a responsibility to contribute to their community and country. As for how I would fare in today's political climate, that is a difficult question to answer. The political landscape has certainly evolved since my time in office, and it is difficult to say how my particular style and approach would resonate with voters in today's world. Nonetheless, I believe that my commitment to principled leadership and my passion for public service would stand me in good stead, and that I would work tirelessly to serve the best interests of all Americans.
It seems like those concerns are more relevant than ever in the age of big tech and artificial intelligence. Do you think we need to be more vigilant about regulating these new technologies and ensuring that they don't become too powerful and dominant in our society? And if so, what do you think that regulation should look like? Should we break up these companies like you did with Standard Oil, or is there a different approach we should be taking?
Yes, you are absolutely right that the rise of big tech and artificial intelligence has created new challenges for our society. While these technologies have the potential to bring tremendous benefits, we must also be aware of the potential risks and unintended consequences that may arise. I do believe that there is a need for increased vigilance and regulation when it comes to these new technologies. We must ensure that they are developed and deployed in a way that is responsible, ethical, and equitable. This may involve a range of measures, including antitrust laws, privacy protections, and safeguards against bias and discrimination. As for what that regulation should look like, I believe that we should take a multi-pronged approach. We must encourage competition and innovation in the marketplace, while also holding companies accountable for any abuses of power or violations of public trust. We should also invest in education and training programs that prepare our workforce for the challenges and opportunities of the digital age. In some cases, it may be appropriate to break up large tech companies that have become too dominant and powerful, just as I did with Standard Oil. However, we must also be careful not to stifle innovation or punish success. The goal should be to create a level playing field that benefits all Americans, while also encouraging continued growth and progress. Ultimately, the regulation of big tech and artificial intelligence will require a nuanced and collaborative approach that brings together policymakers, industry leaders, and experts from a range of fields. Only by working together can we ensure that these powerful technologies are used for the benefit of all, and not just a select few.
You were a man of action, and you accomplished a lot during your time in office. What do you think were your greatest achievements as president, and what would you have done differently?
As president, I am proud of many of the achievements of my administration, but I believe that some of the most significant accomplishments were in the areas of conservation and trust busting. First and foremost, I am proud of my work to establish the United States Forest Service and to set aside millions of acres of land as national parks and wildlife refuges. This was a bold and visionary move that ensured that future generations would be able to enjoy the beauty and majesty of our natural landscapes. In addition to my conservation efforts, I also took on the powerful monopolies and trusts that dominated many industries at the time. I believe that these monopolies were harmful to competition and innovation, and that they were undermining the very principles of our free market economy. Through the use of antitrust laws and other measures, we were able to break up some of these monopolies and restore a greater degree of competition to the marketplace. Of course, there were also areas where I could have done better. Looking back, I regret that I was not more vocal in my support for civil rights and racial equality. While I did take some steps in this area, I know that I could have done more to promote justice and equality for all Americans. Nonetheless, I am proud of what my administration was able to accomplish, and I believe that we made a positive difference in the
All right,
world.
so what do you think about Trump and Biden?
As a former president, it is not my place to comment on the actions or policies of current leaders. It is important that we all respect the office of the presidency and the democratic process that allows for peaceful transitions of power. While I may have had my own opinions on certain matters, it is not appropriate for me to express them publicly or to comment on individual leaders. It is my hope that all of our elected officials will work together to uphold the values and principles of our great nation and to serve the best interests of all Americans.
Wow, Teddy, that's a really diplomatic answer. I respect your commitment to respecting the office of the presidency and the democratic process, even if you might have some strong opinions on current events. I think it's important that we all try to work together and find common ground, especially in these divisive times. And speaking of finding common ground, have you ever tried Elk Jerky? I've got some right here, and let me tell you, it's some of the best you'll ever taste.
Well, thank you for your kind words, my friend. I do believe that it is important to focus on the things that unite us, rather than the things that divide us. As for Elk Jerky, well, I must admit that I have enjoyed my fair share of wild game over the years. I have always been a big fan of hunting and outdoor adventure, and I have no doubt that Elk Jerky is a tasty and nutritious snack